Okay, recording's just kicked off. Welcome everybody to the Notary Governance Call and the Filecoin Plus Community Call for August 3rd. Excited to have everybody here. Nice to see a bunch of videos on as well. I have no idea if this is captured in the recording, but hopefully it is. So people can see all of your lovely faces. Though it's like all of us are wearing the same colored like t-shirts. It's just like either you're wearing like a dark blue, black, or green. I guess that's like two colors. I can't even say. Anyway. Enough time wasted. We've got quite an agenda today. So we're reordering the agenda a little bit. So we got some feedback. And I think Julian was the one that first suggested this, where he was like, why do you always do the hot topics at the end of the call? Because we always run out of time. And so we're going to get to them sooner rather than later. And there is Julian's just joining right now. And so we're going to go DataCap flow, where I'll do like the sort of read out like weekly update type thing. And then we'll do some open issues and topics for discussions. Then we'll do large dataset notary applications and a couple of the large dataset notary client, applicants, I should say, clients or projects that have applied for it are planning to show up at like the half-hour mark. And I think we should just standardize that as a practice. And so hopefully, if you know somebody that's writing a large dataset notary app and wants to talk, you can just start telling them, hey, show up at the half-hour mark of a notary governance call. But then Gillen and I did a bunch of thinking and have a bunch of new ideas as well that we'd like to share with you. And so we're excited to talk about that and get some feedback from all of you. And then we'll talk about, open applications for LDNs and then open forum at the end as usual for anybody to share any topics. I think we have some notary tools from Matrix Storage that might be on display today, which would be really cool. No pressure, but if you're there, would love to see them towards the end of the call. And if there's anybody else that wants to talk through anything. But yeah, with that, let's get started. So updates between the last call and this one, we've had 6 manual allocations go through GitHub, which is about 22 tebibytes. That's down from about 80 tebibytes in the fortnight prior. So it's about 75% down, but it's still moving at a healthy pace. 19 applications open right now, though I removed a couple of duplicates and reassigned a few things to Danny, because I think for some reason the Filecoin Foundation one for some of the older issues is still pointing at Philip. And so we got to make sure that gets corrected. I also want to call out that some of you notaries haven't yet accepted your invitation from me to join the client onboarding repo as read and write level permissions. And so I will ping you in Slack immediately after this call to ensure that you're notified.
What is that, Deep? Sorry.
Yeah, so Julian, you already have this, so this is not a problem for you. But all the new notaries that were added, we had to give them permissions in the client onboarding repo, where they can be assigned to issues and own issues. And so they have to approve that in the account that they've set up with GitHub, basically. Yeah, I think you already have it because you've been a notary for a while and haven't had issues with that in the past. Cool. And then distribution DataCap, we've had nearly 120 since we had a couple of dashboards that were lagging behind and being updated. And so according to at least one dashboard, we have officially crossed 1 petabyte of DataCap allocated to clients in the last week, which is a pretty massive update and pretty cool milestone to hit as a community. And of that, about 40% is being used in deals. And so that number is also like starting to outpace the growth of DataCap deployment, which is nice to see clients actually activating on chain once they've received the DataCap and doing something with it. So that's great. Continue to look for ways in which we can enable clients better. If you have feedback that you're getting from clients, or if you're working with clients that are struggling to leverage the DataCap they're receiving, then please do share that in the Filecoin Plus channel on Slack, and let's have some discussions there on how we can ensure clients feel supported. TTD, our favorite metric, time to DataCap. The average TTD is down a fair bit. It continues to slide down. Part of this is because we're accounting for some really old applications in March, April, May that were much slower than things are today. But in general, people are also getting a little bit more active. You can see that time to response is decreasing from notaries, and overall time to get DataCap in a fully manual path was beyond 15 days for a while, and is now finally coming down. So congrats to you notaries that are getting more familiar with the flow, getting more used to operating between GitHub and the app. And we're here to support and about to share and going to continue looking at ways in which we can make your life easier. Cool. I sped through that. Julian will remind me later that it was too quick. But if there's anything, any questions on the DataCap flow, please share. If you have any thoughts, please share. If not, we're going to hop into the next section. Nice. Righto. I'm going to hand it over to Galen to talk a little bit about some open issues and some open discussion for Filecoin Plus as a community. So will be some fun topics here.
Thanks, Deep. As he said, Deep and I have been working on a couple different ideas and issues that we want to tackle together. And so we have some short-term changes that we were going to talk about today that I think are not super controversial. So we'll lead off with the things that I think won't take a lot of political capital. The first one, we've mentioned this to a couple people directly. We're going to be changing the governance call structure. So we're going to be doing this call basically 2 time slots every other week. And so rather than where we just had it at either 3 p.m. or 11 p.m. UTC, and then that time would switch every 4 weeks, we're essentially just going to repeat the call. And so what that means is it'll be the same agenda, but twice a day. So I know that might throw a few people off, but the goal there is the people that can't make this time slot, but always come to the other one, there then is this 4-week long lag time between when you can kind of consistently make the governance calls. So we're proposing that change. We're probably just going to roll with it. If it ruffles any feathers, or if those times still really are an inconvenience for some international group, we can adjust it as necessary, but I don't think that this is a controversial one.
I just want to add that part of this is also because we want to ensure that context is carried between conversations. What ends up happening is we have a discussion, and then 2 weeks later, either notaries are staying up really late to continue the conversation or having to catch up based on the recording or on Slack, and then only coming back to discuss it, in the following call. And so a lot of more difficult conversations are 4 weeks or 6 weeks at minimum for us to discuss as a community and get our opinions out. But hopefully this will push sort of that day being you remember that this is a Notary Governance Day. You don't have to be there for both the time slots. You'll know that the agenda is the same. They're both going to be recorded and uploaded. And so hopefully it's consistent context across the community, and we can move forward sort of at the same pace, regardless of where you are in the world. You sort of get to voice your opinion and contribute equally.
Awesome. I don't see any hands. So going to this next one is a little bit bigger. We're going to talk about some improvements that we've been thinking about to the large dataset notary process, kind of overall. Before we jump into some of the ideas, I want to review the actual current process just to make sure we really all understand are on the same page on this, and also to highlight some of the areas that we have identified as kind of some of the slowdown, but then to have an opportunity to hear from you guys if you're doing something significantly different than the way that we understand it. It'd be great to see. So we think that the large dataset notaries is a big flywheel for us to be able to make these changes. So that's one of the reasons we're focusing on it. So I'm going to share my screen and take over and show this Miro board that Deep and I put together. So this is outlining the whole Filecoin Plus project, and then we're going to get into the large data set. But just to review, there's basically somewhere in the funnel, some BD is happening, either you guys notaries are doing your business development yourselves, or a storage provider, or the foundation or PL. But either way, we're getting clients that are coming to Filecoin and they want to store data. We're pushing them in some variety of ways to the Filecoin Plus program. They go get DataCap for the first time. Ideally, they're using an auto verifier currently with Glyph based on a GitHub account. All this is captured in the Filecoin docs, and I think captured pretty well. And we're seeing it quite a few people using that flow. But then they realize they want to get more DataCap. So either they're going for a smaller amount and they will work directly with a notary. This is where our current process is of identifying a notary in the Fil Plus app based on the region and use case, and then having some kind of direct messaging, but we want to try and pull those things back into the Fil Plus app, where they will apply to a notary using the app, which requires them to have an address. The bot takes some steps in the back end. We don't need to go too deep into this. The notaries are doing the due diligence to review and ask for the appropriate information. The notary then uses the app to grant DataCap, and then the app sends a message provided through the ledger. So that's really fast on that process. Where we're going to focus though is on the large data set notary. If a client is immediately requesting more than 20 terabytes, they are going to apply for an LDN, which is a currently pretty manual process. And some clients say that it takes them, maybe longer than they want to do that. So we have some thoughts there. That will basically lead to creating a GitHub issue in the LDN repo for their application. Then they hopefully publicize that issue. Sometimes they just post it in Slack. We're trying to have some more ways of getting them into these kinds of governance calls to publicize the issue more. Then there will be some direct messages to notaries as well, kind of some outreach. It's another area where we can improve. And then notaries are doing the due diligence in GitHub. And there's a lot of conversation, a lot of back and forth, using GitHub to ask questions, to gather more data, to try and have that be an open and transparent conversation. And eventually we get 7 notaries to approve by indicating in GitHub comments. Again, this is a really manual process where it has been deep, but primarily a governance team member is looking through all of the comments and keeping track. We tally it, make sure that there are 3 regions represented. The governance member comments with a very specific template that notifies the bot. The bot creates the multi-sig LDN to basically elect a new notary, and then the root key holders have to get involved to grant that multi-sig notary status and that initial big pot of DataCap that will get allocated to the client. Bot notifies the client and notaries the multi-sig LDN is ready. And then we go into this other loop where the client will then request their DataCap allocation. And this is similar for the first allocation as it is for subsequent allocations. The lead notary prompts the bot to create a proposal in the Fil Plus app. So again, one of you humans has to go and take this action. Then 4 notaries have to sign back into the Fil Plus app that are on that multi-sig and take another action by signing with their ledger. And then that allocation of DataCap is sent out. Once they have used greater than 90% of that allocation and they need more, they have to go back up to the top and the client requests more DataCap allocation. So that's the long and short of the process. There's a couple of philosophical reasons and technical reasons for why it exists in this structure as it is today. And as we indicated, there's a couple key points that we think we can dig into and kind of expedite the process without making massive technological changes or investments. So I'm going to pause there and see. I haven't seen anybody unmute. I don't see any hands. I think we're happy.
Yeah, are there any
questions?
Process. Oh, looks like Danny has one.
Yeah, I have a quick one, which is just one thing I've noticed is people saying, look, we're running out of DataCap, but we only have a certain weekly allotment. Is there anything in this system for actually changing the percentage of that allotment on the fly, or does it have to be create a new notary?
So that is something that came up this week for large data set notaries. We think that we can relatively easily change the weekly allotment without massive technical changes. It's just making a change in one of the GitHub comments. The bot reads that comment and then sees the new change to what the weekly allocation is. So that is one of the things that is currently possible and happening. Yes.
We're testing this with S right now, Danny, because they specifically flagged that they needed like 5x or 10x, which is quite a bit more. And so the way, like, I basically posted a comment saying, hey, like, for the notaries that have signed on this, can you guys react effectively? And we got a couple of thumbs. And so then we are testing a flow whereby via a comment we'll adjust it, as Galen said.
Great, thank you.
Sweet. Deep, should we switch back over to you sharing the slides?
Yeah, can do. Just want to give the opportunity as well. Anybody else in the room, if you have any questions about the large data set notary thing, I see a couple more people unmuting. So I'm gonna, before I start sharing.
Hi, Deep. It's Meg. I just
Meg.
had one question, and I was reaching out to Danny earlier in the week. I can see that the data sets are the requests are hanging. How can the notaries organize? How can we organize ourselves better to sign on and move them forward?
For the large data set notaries, when you say the hanging, you mean like in general, like the lag between us reacting as a community, or you mean like the software itself is like
no, us organizing ourselves. I think I had OSC China reach out, and then I looked at their application, and it was back in May. And then I looked at the large ones, and I thought, well, how might we? And I think the process is great, Galen, but how do we better organize ourselves?
I think it's a great topic, and it's an excellent segue into what Galen is going to share. So Meg, I'm going to let him do that, and then let's have an open convo on some other things. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
All right.
That totally wasn't a plan, but maybe it was. So talking about some of the like proposed changes that Deep and I, as we like wrote out that process and realized like just really seeing it in one place helps like highlight the massive amounts of like both technical and social steps that it takes and opportunities for slowdown and throttling. And so some of the things we're talking about, we want to like, first, we're going to have some increasing awareness of this process and improving documentation. So we're going to be cleaning up some of the like GitHub READMEs, and then also cleaning up some of the like Filecoin docs and documentation, and intended to also get some better documentation on the Fil Plus app. So by increasing some of that documentation and having some better places where we could say this is about how long these things may take, I think that can also decrease that delta between expectation and reality, right? If somebody comes in thinking, I submitted an app today, why didn't I hear anything about it right away? Versus if we can tell them, when you submit an app, we're currently looking at this kind of a timeline. So that's one thing. I see a hand, so I'm gonna pause and go to Stephen, see what you got.
Okay. Hello everyone. I want to share my experience here about why sometimes I delayed the response to the DataCap and allocation. I think the main reason is that I didn't get the notification right away. One thing is that I get many emails from the GitHub repo, so that there are so many emails, so I just fill it out. So and I think if we can do something which can help me, is that if we can have a bot to notify me in Slack. For example, if one thing need me to take action, I will receive a notification instead of everything I will receive. For example, if I'm assigning one issue, I need to take action. I would like to, for example, get a notification every day about that. For example, I was added by somebody. I need to, so something like this. I don't think I'm not aware about the process. I think perhaps other notaries with the same situation is because we just missed the information. Yes, because too many information there.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Yeah, it sounds like to to summarize, it's less that you don't know the process to do, it's more around there's lots of notifications that you get in all these different places, and knowing when to come and follow along and take some of the action. It's hard to like keep track of where the status of all these things. And so I think in addition, when we talked about how we're going to change this meeting to happen, you know, hopefully then everyone can make it every 2 weeks, and that will also help reinforce this like timing for people. But going to some of the other proposed changes on here that you called out, I'll just run through them. Client presentations at every governance call. We're going to try and have more awareness of the clients, get them in the governance calls so people can see them. But then this next one, I think, will also address, Stephen, what you were talking about, reminders in the Fil Plus Slack channel to respond to open applications. For right now, that's probably going to be a manual mechanism that the governance team does like once a week to just say, there are these open applications for large data sets that need, you know, diligence. There are these, and just kind of put that in as like a social awareness and reminder. And we are looking at more ways to automate that mechanism in Slack using like the GitHub integrations. The other kind of proposed low-lift change that we're talking about doing is just in reducing root key holder turnaround time. So we're making some changes to how we communicate with the root key holders and who those root key holders are at the different organizations, so that when we need action on a whole bunch of messages, like, you know, you guys felt this pain point during the application process, but it is also a significant pain point when we need to stand up that new LDN. So we get that turnaround time lower. So Deep has a hand up. Let's go to him.
One question I did want to ask the notaries that are here today is, how many of you would actually prefer, like say in the case of a large data set notary app, we go and do a lot of back and forth like on GitHub. A good example is like Estuaries. It's like 60 comments where there's like a bunch of notaries saying yes. And then more than required saying yes, then me doing auditing on that set and being like, oh no, we already got the 7. Here are the addresses I have, waiting for everybody to say yes again, and then asking the root key holders to sign. A lot of that could happen a lot faster if we did that like synchronously, or probably even on Slack. Like, what are people's thoughts about like using this call as a decision-making like mechanism as well, where like whatever clients come and present, if we feel like we have enough confidence or we've asked enough questions, like I could just take notes, or Galen could take notes, or anybody could volunteer to take notes and just say, hey, like, you know, in this call, these 3 notaries said they'd support this. Just put that in the GitHub comment and say, yeah, we confirm their addresses. And that way, you know, the Tuesdays could become like productive synchronous decision-making days as well, where between the 2 time zones coverage, like if we do feel we can build confidence in the client application because we have collected the info we need from them, or we've invited them to come talk to us over here and interrogated them to the extent that we want, we feel confident moving forward and supporting them. Would love to hear what reactions are like to that.
Danny, did you have a reaction to that?
I have to pull my reaction face. Yeah, I really like this. One thing that I feel would speed this up and is probably important if we're going to make decisions here is some way of signaling either on GitHub or in the GitHub when someone supports it in a kind of machine readable way. Because I think one of the things that's confusing for me is like, I see a few people saying, yep, I support this, but I don't know how, you know, mentally tallying that is tricky. And also, I feel like if we're going to talk about it here and then agree, either somebody has to note that, or we should have a process by which we go in the Slack, blah, 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 +1, or something that's readable and keeps account for the governance team. So yeah, unless you already have some sneaky bot that is doing that, but
we don't. But we could do a Slack thread even that says like for each LDN, there's a Slack thread in the notaries channel, and in the call, like we could just post a comment saying tag this notary. They were in the call today. They said yes. Can these notaries please confirm, or can these, maybe the better one, which Galen, I think you were suggesting at some point, is it's easier to have, people flag in case that a mistake has been made, where we could say we're tagging these notaries and counting them towards the 7. Please let us know in the next like 1 day or 2 days if that's a mistake, or like you're no longer supporting this application for any reason.
Yeah, I think that the one thing just to throw in is I think there needs to be somewhere which is the long-term source of truth for this. So I think it's great if the more channels we have to like agree on that, synchronous or asynchronous is good, but ultimately it's all got to end up in the, I presume in the GitHub thread.
Yeah, GitHub is probably the right place to do that. That makes sense to me. The fear with GitHub is what Stephen is saying, which is you get inundated with notifications, and like Slack makes it really easy to see your notifications. GitHub's like notification UX is not as intuitive. This is obviously being recorded and not going to put up on YouTube. So I apologize. GitHub is a great software. I love it.
GitHub's amazing. It has pros and cons. I think the thing to remember is that like GitHub is a place where we are tracking and archiving like the long-term diligence thread, whereas Slack is a place for faster like questions, comments, and like reminders and updates. And so kind of the way that we may be using it is trying to, and this is going to come from all of us, but also from the governance members, Deep and myself, like leading the charge to be more on top of responding to questions that people ask there, and then also us going through GitHub and highlighting, like we talked about, these manual ways of saying this application is still sitting here. I'm going to tag people in it. As far as like how do different notaries like manage that, I'm sure all of you have like ways that you have hacks and workarounds for saying 1 day a week, or this is what I'm going to set up for my time frame when I go check for these pings. But we could try and get creative with people about that too. I think the moral of the story here is that Deep and I are working really hard on coming up with both some short-term wins that we think can have some like high impact that aren't massive technological investments that are gonna, you will start to see these things in Slack, GitHub, and on these calls. So going forward in the slides, I think Deep, the next set is on is you with some additional LDN data.
And in a very timely manner, we had a couple of people join the call, so that's great. Quick flag on the LDN front. Most of you already know what that is, and Galen, thanks for walking through the flow. 2 things I wanted to call are like sort of hanging topics that have come up about the large dataset notary, which is around deals being received by storage providers, when storage providers may also be notaries that are signing onto a multi-sig. So Faye has brought this up a couple of times, and in general, it seems like there's like some support, and then some people who feel like we shouldn't support it because it's equivalent to self-dealing. And so I think what it feels like the community is headed towards, and so we may as well just make a call on it, is that if an application is extremely transparent about it, which Faye, I think Faye's here, and so we should ask him. But from my understanding, he's published like a list of miners that he's storing with. And other notaries that aren't on that list have said that they're fine supporting this because there's like a clean line to what the miner IDs are. And therefore, as a community, we can do auditing on how like that data cap is being used. Maybe in that case where there's like an explicit sort of upfront, here's the allocation strategy, here's how you can audit the allocation strategy on behalf of a client. And then the client doesn't deviate from that, then it might be all right for the time being until we come up with a better practice as a community. What are the general reactions and thoughts to that?
So I have already gathered 7 notaries to support my application. Regarding the dealing to the notary, I have stated that no notary can receive more than 5% of the total data cap, so that the provider can remain like in different regions and different manners.
And then Faye, not all the notaries of the 7 are on your list of miners that you store with, right? Your search providers had, not every notary is
two.
Only 2, yeah. So I think that helps as well, right? Because that like reduces any like circular logic. So maybe that's like an interesting trigger point that we should think about as a community. But I mean, in the interest of not blocking like DataCap right now, when we have so much transparency, maybe this is the standard that we're okay supporting. And then I think we should continue to have this conversation as a community over the next weeks to figure out how we want to adjust, especially once we have some learnings from this experience and how it rolls out. Okay, looks like I'm fine with this if we regularly revisit. I see Megan nodding. I see Meg nodding.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few open at the moment. We can see how it flows. And I think it's the lead notary that's going to be key, right?
Yeah.
I
makes
mean,
sense.
with every application, we should be paying attention whether it's overly centralized.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
Right. I think Faye, you flagged one that was very centralized, right? As well.
Yeah, the only one that is approved right now.
Yeah.
It's controversial.
We'll talk about that one. Okay, cool. And then the second thing was around this concept of like the lead notary. And so Julian had asked for more explicit sort of parameters on what the expectations are. And so just to reiterate, that's the notary that's sort of primarily responsible for ensuring on a weekly or every allocation basis, there's nothing like wrong or bad. And so one thing Gail and I were also talking about is like leveraging our dashboards to basically like spit out like useful reports of how large data set notaries are being used and what the clients are actually doing with that data cap. So the job of a lead notary gets simpler, where it's like, hey, look at this report, see what the deals are, see how the data cap's being used, where is it ending up? And if all of that looks good, then you can proceed, as opposed to needing to do a bunch of manual analysis. And so it'd be great to brainstorm like some of these ideas as well, either on Slack or in like a different session. I actually realized, Galen, one more thing that we were talking about, which I forgot to flag, was in case we want to have some notaries join us for our call with the folks building the software tomorrow. Maybe we'll flag that at the end, though, just to remind me in case I forgot. Yeah, that might be worth it, might not. We can see what the forum looks like, because I know that a lot of notaries have been helping with debugging around the LDN, and so like greatly appreciate it. I know Stephen put in good time. Neo put in a bunch of time with me and screen shared. And lots of others as well, Julian and several others. So really appreciate your time so far. With that, I kind of wanted to pivot into talking about like some of the open applications and opening up the floor to clients. So right now, 4 have been approved. One is waiting a single arcade signature. The other one was already signed. And then the one that Faye is driving, we're just, I think we're close to sending the request to the root key holder. So I think we were pending 2 notaries confirming the addresses, which honestly, I'm thinking we should just remove that step, because we already have those addresses as part of the notary election process, and those addresses shouldn't be changing because it's the same address that we can put onto the multi-sig. And so maybe one minor, one reduction in the step could just be just moving forward. Anyway. Yeah, is anybody here not using the same app? Actually, there is one case, which is in the case that you have, if a notary is using a multi-sig as their primary on-chain notary address, then that address cannot be added to another multi-sig. So I think Textile is doing this. And so from Andrew Hill, I was able to get an F1 address. And so I've just been reusing that one. But I think most other notaries are using F1 addresses here, and so it shouldn't be a problem. If we encounter any others, I think as long as we keep a database somewhere, Galen, maybe we just have a table, and then that way we can just skip this confirmation thing. Yeah, awesome. Okay, I think that's a good next step. Let's just move forward from that. So with that, there's 13 applications that are open for review. And so true to our word, I think what we're going to do now is open the floor to anybody who's here from any of these applications. I saw Arkady pop in. Arkady, is it okay if I volunteer you? I know you've got an application open on this list, I believe, the Internet Archive.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Do you wanna give us a brief minute or two primer?
Yeah. How long do I have?
You have I would say maybe try to keep it at 2-3 minutes, and then I'm sure people have 5. I think 5. I think we've got plenty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll do some questions. Yeah.
Great. So, so I think many of you might already be familiar with the Internet Archive. If not, it's among the leading digital preservation organizations in the world. Today, it's takes its lineage from traditional libraries, but it aims for the preservation of all human knowledge. That's kind of a big goal, but that's really what we're trying to do. The most well-known aspect of the archive is the Wayback Machine, which has archived the internet from 1996 onwards, but there's also collections of things like books, records, film, Perlinger archive, all sorts of media, everything sort of in the public good. And the key principle since the foundation of the archive has been to ensure the preservation of the knowledge into each new technological generation. So it started on tape, archived in a single location, and has now moved on to an extensive network in the Bay Area, as well as locations in Canada and other mirrors. But now the thought is that technology such as Filecoin offers the possibility of stepping into a subsequent era and maybe leading the way in a certain sense as well for others to do so. So we are now looking to archive a test data set, which is at a scale at which we operate. We operate with many petabytes. So the state test data set is about 200 terabytes. It comes from a crawl of the US government websites at the end of the Obama administration in 2016, which has a nice property that this data is in the public domain due to how the intellectual property rights of the US government produced media is structured. Jing, I see a hand. Oh, sorry, maybe that was a stray button. Anyway, so the data set is about 200 terabytes of web crawls of .gov domains and related endpoints, and it's work files, web archive files, which is what is also powering the Wayback Machine. And so we're looking to use it as sort of a pilot project for storing Wayback Machine material as well as other Internet Archive material in a way that is decentralized, resilient, and takes advantage of the nice properties of Filecoin, such as the sort of self-certifying nature of things, and certainly the hopefully lower long-term costs compared to conventional cloud providers and things like that. So we're pretty close to being ready to go to load to generate the car files into the 32 gib sectors and to transmit it not online but offline over the network. We have very good peering, a lot of upstream bandwidths, and we're looking for a well geographically distributed set of miners to sort of simulate a long-term, highly reliable, resilient set of nodes with potentially having a entirely decentralized front end that could also interact with this data as well. Yes, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for that recap, Ricky. I think it's like a great project. And Deep and I were checking, and it looks like we currently have, based on the comments, we have 4. So chance for people to ask some questions. some wait time.
And I should mention that we've already tried storing some pieces and just worked through the technical challenges around that and smoothing out the tooling issues. And it's a process, but it's coming along.
Awesome. Looks like Julian, based on the chat, signing on. Internet Archive. Am I understanding that correctly? Yes, I'm seeing a head nod. Deep, put him down for contribution. We'll stop this phone-a-thon once we hit 7 notaries. We'll take you back to your regularly scheduled PBS programming. Yes, very subtle nod. Okay, so I don't know that there are any other burning, yearning questions at this point, but Arcady, if you want to.
I have just a few questions.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know, do you plan to do online or offline deals for that?
Oh, so okay, sorry. So we're as I mentioned, we have very good network interconnects with both general purpose networks and like educational and research networks. So we're looking to try to do this with an offline, but over the internet transfer. So we would host something on the Internet Archive subnet, and then you would get it with RA or something like that. We're also considering using Tachyon.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I should say that it's not. This is not a hard decision. It's if there's a good argument for doing another way, I'm happy to hear it, but this is the path that seems most appropriate to us.
I see.
Cool. If there are any other notaries that are interested in signing on to this, please let me know in the chat and I will keep watching. In the meantime, I think we should hand over the microphone to Charles, talk about FilSwan.
Thank you,
Thanks, Arkady. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And yes, so first one recently opened application for the large data set. In the past few months, we have been testing the offline deal transfer bidding system for months, and we get lots of improvement in the deal sending and importing process. For now, and until last month, we successfully helped 3 projects start working on the onboarding. One is Experience Music NFT, another is a machine learning company doing the annotation labeling on their data set. A third company is doing the visual arts with NFT. So currently we're building the NFT storage proxy to onboarding more data set to the Filecoin network. So at this stage, we are helping the clients onboarding their data, and at the same time, we're also testing our system to sending out the deals to different platforms. So, and during this time, we also participate in the HackFS 2021. We're building the payment gateway with NFT storage. So we wanted to have, well, we can foresee that we are going to onboarding lots of clients with lots of storage to our Filecoin network. So we really need help to testing the system with large load and distributed on different miners. We are also the members of Mana X and Mana X2, so we wanted to get help from the community to testing the system and let everything goes well.
Charles, I know you'd applied in the past, and then at some point you'd close your issue because you were like, oh, it's mostly private data, but now you reopened it. Just want to get a sense for as you onboard your client. So Estuary, one of the things they're doing there is all the data is pinned to IPFS, right? So even if it's like personal user data or users uploading it, it's still technically public, like it's auditable and searchable. Is FilSwan's attitude going to be similar, or is there an intent to?
It will be similar because the NFT agent we are building is based on IPFS. So we have 2 channels. One channel is through IPFS. Another channel is through FS3. So FS3 like is more like closed for commercial usage, and IPFS channel with NFT is more like a public channel. So this project will be demo on the, if we get the opportunity to demo on the HackFS, and because Feiyan and others project, they want using IPFS, so this project is ongoing. So this one doesn't have those limitations about private data. And yes, if it goes to private data, that will be another case. Well, so it's different scenario now. Yeah.
Cool. So we are at no notaries actually signed on to Charles's app now. So for those of you that are thinking about it, now is an excellent chance to ask any questions. And if you do want to support it and you want to voice it now, I'm taking notes. I will post it. I already have dropped a comment on the Internet Archive one saying that Sonic is +1.
Hey, I just wanted to quickly clarify because I got a little lost in your answer to the last question. So this is data that is expected is sort of public, though you're probably not gonna. Are you planning on sharing this on IPFS or just in another system?
Is the question for me?
Yeah, Charles.
Yes, so those data is public data, and sometimes from machine learning. We already like do the first stage of testing with Waymo, which is 1 terabyte. And for the machine learning data, the company they have lots of data training from. Actually it's a machine learning company in Montreal who has a branch in China. So they have lots of data currently transfer from using the Baidu cloud to transfer across China and Canada, which takes lots of time. And Feiyan, we're already very familiar with his project doing the music NFT, which is recently granted by the Filecoin Foundation. And another one is the virtual character data, which is generated by them originally, so they don't have copyright issue. Yeah, they also granted by the Filecoin Foundation.
Okay, thank you. I think we probably support that. So I'll put that into the GitHub repo. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sweet. I think Ching Lin, if you'd like to say anything about your application from ISC China, feel free. If not, we will oh yeah, hand is up. Go for it.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh yeah, and I would like to say that our product is a co-hosting platform, and it can be seen as a Chinese version of GitHub. So it's actually the second largest co-hosting product on the world, just behind GitHub. So we are now hosting more than 50 million code projects. So, and I think it is quite a useful and important platform for Chinese developer. So we are now, and as I just mentioned, we are now already had like 5 notaries say like approval our project, and so we're looking for another 2 approval. So really want to take this chance to ask if any notaries are interested and can give us support. So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, by the way, to discuss this. So I'm just taking a look at the application. Looks like we've got Charles, Danny, Meg, Reshitu, and Stephen already in support of this. So it is indeed 5, and that does cover 3 regions. So if there are any other notaries that are interested that are in the call, let me know. If not, take a look at the link in the chat. Okay, assuming there's no questions, I think we should turn over to the open forum. And I think the main item there is we've got Matrix Storage, who's going to be sharing some of their notary tooling. Is that right, Galen? Yeah. So Matrix Storage, the floor is yours. If you want to share your screen, feel free. I will give you rights to do that right now. There you go. Okay, we have them connecting to audio.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, actually my English is not so fluent.
No problem.
In order to save time and more clear express, I prepared in advance the Chinese and English version of Matrix Storage Notary toolset of the simple introduction. There are 11 pages in the PPT, and I will switch one page every 10 seconds. If you are interested in the project or have any question, you can search for Matrix Storage on GitHub or Slack to find us. In that case, my English will be better. So let's start with the Matrix Storage Notary toolset.
So we don't actually see your screen. So I gave you rights to share your screen. You have to press share screen.
But I can share my keynote.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
want to.
If you press share screen, it should let you open, it should give you a menu, and then you can only share the window that you want to share.
In my screen, there's just a picture, iCloud Drive, and website. There's no any other choice.
Oh, interesting. So you have a share screen window, right, at the bottom?
No.
It may be different computers have a permission setting for Zoom. It may be like a permissions issue.
Yeah, you could share the link to the keynote or link to a deck as well here, and we could review it together.
Maybe I can transfer my PPT into pictures. So wait for a moment. Okay. Okay. Now. Sorry about that. So
No, don't worry at all. Don't worry.
There's 11 pictures. I have tried it yesterday. Yesterday, I can share my PPT. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I have an idea. I changed the permission to everybody can share. Do you want to try again? Let's try that again.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try it again.
Yeah, you can also link it to me and I can store it or Galen can show it. Thanks, Danny.
Okay, I will share my photo.
Yeah, yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay,
Okay.
this is
Okay,
this
it's work.
I transfer it in photos. So this is the first page. This is a simple introduction about matrix storage. Matrix storage, decentralized storage service platform based on IPFS. Okay, this is the first page. Then the last one. Okay. Yeah, this is a short introduction.
Oh, we lost it.
I think it's to switch to each page.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I missed it for
Yeah.
the first one. This is good. It's working.
After the meeting, I will share the PPT on the Slack.
Awesome.
So
Thanks.
So yeah. So the further iteration of the Notary toolset is about function improvement and provide individual notary with monthly, quarterly, and any other improvement, and English version. Okay, next one. This is the introduction of the Notary toolset. Maybe there was something wrong. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can.
And I see the introduction of the Notary toolset image.
Okay, but my phone has something wrong.
Uh-oh. Okay, I think we lost them briefly. Quick thing I wanted to add while we have Matrix Storage come back. Are any of you facing any issues with regards to like Ledger and access to the Filecoin Plus app? Or is that generally been sorted? Okay, hopefully that's been sorted. So that's not a thing anymore. Cool. Eric, what's up?
Eric.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. So I'm talking about with the ledgers with the LDN issue. We found three case from the LDN, but the tool of the LDN is none of the database would like to be the notary to support their project. So for my side, I mean the LDN which we said okay, database would like to support, and then we will receive the request in the notary boarding page. But we found some projects not related to us. So
yes,
is there any things? So we'll be definitely to give it to us for the correct information, I think.
Yeah. So the one thing we did is we added all the applications there right now. That's mostly so that we can make it easier for other people to do like general auditing and watching of the progress. So like, for example, for me and Galen to be able to log in, because we are not notaries. And so we want to see how progress is happening and if we can help anywhere. And so right now, effectively, when you log in, you see all of the LDN proposals. But if you try to sign any of them that you're not on the multisig for, it won't work. But we do need to come up with a way where we highlight which ones you can sign for. So we're trying to come up with a way to show that in the user interface.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, back to matrix.
It shouldn't work,
oh, sorry.
but feel free to try it and let us know if it does work when it's not supposed to. But yeah, as Deep said, and for like everybody else, when you sign into the Fil Plus app with your ledger, you'll see more things listed than you have permissions to action on. And so don't freak out thinking that is the glitch. That is intentional. It's an issue if you are not able to sign something that you're supposed to. That's the problem we're trying to find.
We tried this with Neo yesterday, by the way. So Neo tried to do this while screen sharing with me, and it didn't work. So hopefully that should be the case. We should give the floor back to Matrix Storage in case the screen sharing works, and then wrap up the call. Matrix Storage, you want to try sharing your screen again?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Can
let's
I?
see.
Can
Yeah,
I?
please, let's see.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I know it's running a little late for some of you that are in time zones where it's late, but if you need to leave, you should feel free. This is all being recorded.
This is our dashboard.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, we can check the DataCap allocation here. Okay.
Missing again.
I just switch. This is allocation record.
Oh, so notaries could add notes for themselves, basically.
Yeah. Okay, switch next one. Yeah, this is. Okay, this is allocation. Correct.
Oh, very interesting.
Okay.
It tracks DataCap use for client.
Next, 2 pages. Pages. Okay. This is first version of our lottery toolset. It might be not perfect, but Matrix Storage believes that it could be support for notaries in charge. While speaking, we are working on the optimization of the product following the direction of the intervention that I've shown you. And we are also looking forward to comments and the suggestions from the community followers and Notary to help us to make it better. So this is our Notary tool set. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for sharing this. It would be great if you could share the PowerPoint as well in the Filecoin Plus channel, maybe, so that notaries here that are interested in exploring further could do that and have the opportunity. Awesome. I think unless anybody else has anything they'd like to add, we're quite a few minutes over, and I don't want to keep people away from their regularly scheduled calendars.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Okay, I'll send you the PPT.
Absolutely. That would be great.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
I see Julian is unmuted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I don't know when you want to talk about this, but if I mean, I'm not spending all my time on the Filecoin Plus interplanetary reporting tool, but like I just spent just like 5 minutes now, and I mean, if you look at the top 10 clients that receive DataCap and consume the DataCap, none of them respect the rules. So I think it's not just a question of one client. I mean, it's more like education, and that today we have no way to, nobody is looking at this. We just allocate DataCap, but nobody is just following what's happening with the DataCap. And I mean, and we don't know even what to do if we flag someone doing this.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. So we definitely need to come up with a mechanism for this. I know we've proposed a few different ways where we can think about like removing DataCap from a client, or like flagging a client or blocking them from making additional deals. There's also like takeaways where we need to share that with other notaries so we don't accidentally give more DataCap to that client. So that is certainly interesting. But yeah, I see one that's like 30 tabby bytes, where 10 of it has been allocated back to a single miner. There's one, those are the ones you're looking at, right? Where you just sort by DataCap allocated. I can send a link. This is what I'm looking at. I can also share my screen so people understand. So this is the dashboard. If you hit clients, you can sort this based on the maximum allocations, and then you can come down here and see the client, and then how many deals they made, how many storage providers they're interfacing with, and then the maximum allocation per storage provider. And so you can very quickly see, when there's very high numbers here. And so, yeah, I do think it's worth having, more open conversations. I think the right way to do it is probably flagging it, if comfortable, in a GitHub issue. If not comfortable, then let's find a way to do it in the notaries channel, probably, which is private for the current active notaries. And when we saw this in the initial round before the elections, we actually had notaries who did additional analysis. So like Stephen, for example, and the notaries from Performive were able to go and discuss with their clients and come back with feedback and figure out like how they'll proceed from there. So I think having some sort of mechanism for that would be good. And I think, like you said, part of this is probably like an education thing where we need to be a little bit more clear with the guidance. And so we should think about ways to do that. And then, of course, the FIP type model of figuring out like what the repercussion is. So I think that third one should be an ongoing conversation. We should just make it part of the agenda where we spend a few minutes figuring out like how we want to do dispute handling and what the repercussions should be in that case.
Yeah. Also on the app, there is some, as you can see in this column, we don't have the name of all the notaries. So we don't even know who is it.
Yeah, we had a GitHub scraping issue. We're working on getting that fixed.
Okay, cool.
There is a way, there's a cheap solution to solving that problem where if you click their address,
wow,
you can go and do like notary governance issues and search for it, and now you know who it is, right? So that's the cheap way, but we're working on fixing the parsing.
Build your own Explorer.
Yeah, fun stuff. Okay.
Good call outs, Julian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. I think we're quite a bit over. Thank you so much for bearing with us and having patience. Have a wonderful rest of your days.
You too. Bye.